to tell you about these wonderful products that 3 International has available for us. And along with those products comes a absolutely stellar business opportunity. But for those of you who are hearing this for the first time today, let me assure you that the reason why this is growing like crazy is because of the fact that the products are so spectacular. It's the products, the products, the products. That's what runs the business. If this company did not make such good products, we would not have the kind of unbelievable growth in the company that we have. And for those of you that are new, let me tell you that the company is only 2 years old. In fact, on May 23rd, just 3 days ago, the company turned 2 years. So 2 years ago, zero. This May 23rd, 2 years, 150 million. 150 million in sales of these proactive health and wellness products. Spectacular. How many startups do you guys know that go from zero to 150 million in just 2 short years? And to make it even more interesting and exciting and potentially lucrative, this company 2 years ago, it didn't just start in one location in the US. It started in 14 different countries and one territory all simultaneously. What does that mean? That means that it gives the company a huge opportunity to introduce many, many more people much quicker to all of these products. The goal of this company is to introduce all of these products to the 8.1 or 2 billion people in the world. You see, right now there are only about 150,000. That's all. About 150,000 plus or minus people that are using these products on an everyday basis. That's a drop in the bucket. Can you imagine how exciting this is going to be when we get up into 1 billion people, 2 billion people, 3 billion people, 4 billion people, and on and on and on. And the other exciting thing for me as a board certified internal medicine physician is we are going to hear more and more stories. They're called testimonials from people who are using these products and are having great results. I'm going to spend a lot of time today going over these products because, after all, my name isn't Samson Lee. I am not Lance and Tracy Smith. I'm not Christine Peterson. I'm not George Ruiz. I'm not the Holly Dermott. I am a board certified internal medicine physician who loves these products and wants to really drill down and give you the real skinny about these products and to help you understand why this is growing so quickly and why these products are so good for you. So let me just tell you, as we go over this, some of you will just decide to start some products and see how it feels. That's acceptable. A lot of people look at this and the first thing they say is, gee, all the science looks great. And Dr. Green, you certainly are credible. And I've heard from other physicians about this. And there's a scientific advisory board and everything's hunky dory. But I got to see if it works. I love that. When people say, I got to see if it works. What that means is if it works for me. Well, that's fine because our experience is that 90% of the people who try these products are going to feel and see demonstrable results in as short as 3 to 4 weeks. 3 to 4 weeks, not 3 to 4 months, not a year, 3 to 4 weeks. Why? In large part, it's because of Dr. Dan's wonderful cellular absorption technology, which we're going to get into in a lot of detail in a few minutes. But basically, that means that these products are readily absorbed across the intestinal mucosa in the small intestine, where most of our food and the nutrients are absorbed, and basically get into the cells of the body much quicker And because they get into the cells much quicker, they get into what are called the mitochondria, which is where the energy is produced in your system, in your cells, and people notice a big difference. It's the absorption that increases the rate at which these products get into our cells, and therefore it gives us these dramatic improvements in such a short period of time. So when someone says to me, I got to see if it works, I sort of think, okay, that's fine. A lot of people out there skeptical, no matter what you tell them, no matter how many studies you put in front of them, they want to know it works for them. So they'll try it, but I know that 90% are going to come back and enjoy it. So with that, let me get right into sharing with you some of the things from the company. The name of the company is called 3, and it's headquartered in Utah, and it has 3 basic principles. First, love yourself. Secondly, love your family, love your community. Why love yourself first? Well, I was listening to Holly DeMott today on the 5 o'clock business opportunity call, and she said something that was really interesting. She said, when you're in an airplane and God forbid this happens, but when you're in an airplane and the oxygen masks come down from the ceiling, the very first thing you're taught is put your own oxygen mask on yourself, because you have to take care of yourself first before you can help others. Well, it's the same idea here, according to Holly. You basically need to love yourself, take care of yourself, get yourself in good health, do whatever you can to preserve your function, your state of mind, your physical being before you can help others. But the second part of this is we want to love our families, help our families by introducing them to these wonderful products. And thirdly, we want to love our community, which basically means to show everybody these wonderful products. The company was founded, as I said, in May of 2023 in Lehi, Utah. That's up near Salt Lake City. Now they've got additional offices in Hong Kong, Indonesia, Taiwan, Singapore, and they're about to open another one in Malaysia. The company was founded in Utah and now has grown. And as I said before, it started from day one, 14 countries, 1 territory. And the whole milieu, the whole philosophy about it was basically to come up with a group of experienced international business builders who are going to build out something significant. Now, these are experienced international business builders. You know, I'm a board certified internal medicine physician, and I see a lot of people who need coronary artery bypass for their coronary artery disease or their complex cardiomyopathy or other kinds of cardiac problems. If you've got something that's really not the usual run of the mill, there's only one place to go for heart surgery, and that's to the Cleveland Clinic. Why? Because the Cleveland Clinic sees more complicated open heart stuff than any other institution in the world. So that's why you want to go to the Cleveland Clinic, because they've got the trusted, experienced people who have been around the block and have seen every kind of complication known. Well, same idea here. We've got a group of international business builders who have been there before, done the deal, and now they're doing it again. And here is our group. In the middle of that is a little tiny 5'9" or something like that, or maybe even smaller, 5'4", Kim Wee, 60 years old, a woman who has been in this platform in network marketing for the last 48 years or so. She is the only woman in this platform, in this space, in this industry, network marketing, who has made over $150 million. Now, I don't think any one of us are going to be able to compare where Kim Wee is going to, but the reason she's doing this all over again, remember, this is a startup, only 2 years old, led by Kim Wee herself, is because she basically wants to build what's called a legacy company. She wants to build this for her children and her grandchildren who haven't even been born yet. Just like I want to build this for generations in my family to come, even though many of them haven't even been born. This is something that as this grows, you can give it away, you can will it away. It's just one of these things, it's just creating an opportunity for your whole family and their future off into into years to come. So Kim and these proven, proven leaders that you see standing around this table, they know the way, they go the way, they show the way. Let me tell you, when I was a third year medical school at Tufts Medical School in Boston in 1970, we had a saying, you see one, you do one, you teach one. What does that mean? You see a baby born. Then you deliver a baby, of course, under the watchful eye of the resident and the attending physician. And then you turn around and you teach the resident or the fellow how to deliver a baby. You see one, you do one, you teach one. Well, look at what Kim's got on the bottom of the slide over here. Know the way, go the way, show the way. It's basically the same idea. And when you're in the company of people like those who are up here on the stage, at least 40 people who are multi-million-dollar earners in the multi-level marketing area who have been with Kim Wee for years and years and years, you are in the right place. Again, it goes back to, if you want to be successful, you want to hang around with people who know the way, go the way, and show the way, as opposed to the neophytes. So you couldn't be at a better place at a better time. Now, if you decide after looking at all this information that this is not your cup of tea, and you don't want to join the business, and what does that mean? Oh, that means basically just chit, 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 chat, because we are not selling anything. We are marketing things just by word of mouth advertising. That's all this is. But if you decide you do not want to do that, then please, I urge you to seriously think about spending $30 a year, $30 a year that you pay to the company, and that lets you buy at wholesale any of these 10 beautiful products that the company makes for yourself and your family. Why? Because of the effects it's going to have on your own personal health. That's why. So the company is managed by these three guys. Dan Picot on the left is the founder and the CEO. He's 46 years old. He's a self-made millionaire, multimillionaire, and he's got passion for proactive healthcare and wellness. He also has passion to see people develop and get to space and places where they never dreamed that they could get to themselves. So Dan is a wonderful advocate of self-actualization, of self-improvement, and he basically knows that the way to lead the company to greatness is by personal example. So he's the kind of guy that will stay up all night and do whatever it takes to make sure that everybody is on the path to success. The guy in the middle, Dan Gubler, he's the genius. I like to call him a nerd. For those of you that don't know what a nerd is, that's N-E-R-D. Nerd is a term that's used for someone, a man or a woman, who is scholarly, who gets lost in their thinking, it gets lost in their books, who gets lost in their formulas, who basically just daydreams, if you will, and thinks about whatever magic or whatever problem or whatever condition that they're interested in. Well, Dan Gubler loves molecules, 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 and plants. He is a plant nerd. He loves plants. So he is a PhD in organic chemistry. Now, let me tell you, when I got into Tufts Medical School, my toughest course in college was organic chemistry. This guy's a PhD in it. Not only is he a PhD in it, but he comes from an excellent school, Caltech in California. He's got 17 patents to his name. He's got 70 health and wellness products that he has already brought to market over the last 10 or 20 years, and he is the real deal. If you Google him, you're going to see loads of wonderful comments about him. If you go on all kinds of social media, you're going to see he's got tons of followers. He is the real deal. And Dr. Dan, as we call him, loves to bring more exciting products to market. So these products, the 10 we have now, are basically his genius. Now, Dr. Dan does all of this by going after plants. There are 600,000 species of plants in the world today, 600,000, and less than 5% have been already studied to see if they have any medicinal value. And I always kid Dr. Dan when I see him, hey, I know your quest is to go out and get to the other 95% of the plants or the species of plants in the world before you die. How you doing with it? And he smiles because he's going a mile a minute to basically look at all kinds of plants. Why? Because he's interested in the molecules in the plants and he wants to see if they're going to have any medicinal value for us. More about that in a few minutes. The guy on the right is Troy Moore. Troy Moore basically has a huge job. He basically coordinates the whole thing and keeps it together. Remember, we started in 14 countries in one territory simultaneously. Remember, this thing is growing like a weed, and Troy Moore is responsible to make sure that everything works seamlessly. The opportunity is to cross-border social e-commerce. What does that mean? It means basically that we are doing this entire thing from our cell phone. That's the cell phone that this person has in his hand in the picture. And basically, it's all about social commerce. It's all about using text, using email, using conventional television, telephone, even in print. And it's cross-border because it's now in 14 countries, but will soon be all across the globe. In fact, let me tell you that the first markets are right down there, phase one. United States, Canada, China, Hong Kong, Macau, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, Taiwan, Japan, Thailand, Vietnam, Philippines, New Zealand, and Australia. Stop and think for a moment, who do you know in those countries? Because if you know anybody in those countries, or they know somebody in those countries, you can have a business going within a few clicks on your cell phone. It's really an exciting opportunity for what you can do here. So who's our target market? It's basically, as Holly DeMont said today, it's basically people who want more. People who want more. People who want to have a business opportunity to work on their own time and space. People who want to have better health and wellness. People who want to be connected with a bunch of like-minded community, like people on this call who are up, who are positive, who are all oriented towards staying healthy, following good health practices, good lifestyle changes. Basically, we want to basically see everybody thrive. We want to basically hold hands. We want to collaborate together because we really have a special group of people who see the potential with this company all because of these products. So that's our target market. We're not looking for someone who basically is stuck in their corporate job and doesn't want to change anything. As my wife loves to say, there are too many people in this world who, listen to this, tiptoe gently and carefully on their way to death. Tiptoe gently and carefully on their way to death. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for people who basically want more and see this as an opportunity. So, what's our approach to wellness? Well, very simple. Today, everybody, or not everybody, but today most people are into what's called reactive wellness. Now, I, as a board certified internal medicine physician who sees patients every day, this is all I do every single day. I'm seeing patients. Reactive wellness. People come in with congestive heart failure, diabetes, fibromyalgia, cancer, stroke, lupus, you name it, autoimmune disease, you name it, they got it. And they all say, cure me, give me some pill, some treatment, help me, get me to feel better. It's called reactive wellness. Well, that's the exact opposite of the new paradigm of what we're doing. We're over here. We're into proactive wellness. What does that mean? Simple. We're trying to basically stop disease before it begins. How? By keeping ourselves healthy, by eating well, by reducing stress, by watching our weight, by not smoking, by not drinking excessively, by getting enough sleep, by doing all the kinds of things that your mother told you to do when you were a little kid and you were perhaps too busy or what does mom know after all? You know, that whole thing. Well, today it's all about proactive wellness. And I can tell you as a physician who loves proactive wellness, when I talk to patients about proactive wellness, they light up. And they also say to me, boy, Dr. Green, you're one of the few doctors I know that talks to people about proactive rather than reactive wellness. Now, the other thing that you were taught, and I was taught when we were younger, is right here. You are what you eat. In other words, you have to be careful about what you eat because you are what you eat. Well, it's not so much that it's what you eat, it's down here. It's what you absorb. Because here is the truth. The average absorption of any kind of nutrient or mineral, the average industry absorption is 10%. What does that mean? That means that when you take a vitamin or a supplement and you put it in your mouth and you swallow it, 10% gets across your intestinal mucosa, and the other 90% you either poop out or you pee out. So you absorb 10%, you lose 90%. So you can see that the effectiveness of most supplements and minerals is limited. Now, a few minutes ago, I told you that 90% of the people who try these products get really good results in a short period of time, 3 to 4 weeks. Why? Because of the absorption. Instead of 10%, our products, because of Dr. Dan's cellular absorption technology, our products get absorbed across the gut 30 to 95%. That's 3 to 9.5 times what the industry average does. So, not only are you getting more of our products into your bloodstream, and most importantly, into those mitochondria where the DNA, where the energy, the ATP is made, but you're also losing a lot less in your stool and your urine. And when you think about the dollars and cents, it's a much better bargain. You know, when you tell somebody I'm taking vitamins, very often they'll say, ho, 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 you've got expensive urine. Well, think about that. If you're peeing out 90% of what you're putting in your mouth, they're right. You do have expensive urine. But if you're using three international products and the absorption is anywhere between 30 and 95%, it's much, much better in terms of efficiency. So you are what you absorb. And Dr. Dan has this cellular absorption technology under patent. So nobody else has it. Now, the other old paradigm is your DNA is your blueprint. Your DNA and your genes, this is what you were born with, and this is what you got, and that's it, can't be changed. Not true. Not true at all, because now we've got this whole thing called epigenetics. And if you know anything about epigenetics, it's really exciting. Epigenetics is the ability of some kind of substance, be it a plant or some kind of food or some kind of nutrient, and pharmaceutical companies are racing to develop drugs that will have epigenetic effects. But Dr. Dan's got some studies that show that our products, we have 6 that we put in our mouth. They're called our Wellness Guardians. And of our 6, 4 of them have epigenetic effects, which means they can upregulate or turn on certain genes in our genome that are good. And we'll go into that in detail in a minute. Or they can downregulate or turn off or turn down other genes in our genome that are bad. This is called epigenetics. It's very, very exciting. And as I say before, pharmaceutical companies are racing to try to find drugs that have epigenetic effects. Our phytonutrients, all plant-based, all natural products that Dr. Dan has developed, have these epigenetic effects. So the bottom line is phytonutrition, absorption, lifestyle, environment, it's all going to determine our health and longevity. So we have come ages from the old paradigm, and now we're into the new paradigm. And that's what's so exciting, because people, when you present this to people and you explain it to it, they see them. Now, the other interesting thing is that this company is all based on science. I mentioned before that there might be 2,000 to 3,000 health professionals already involved in this company. And the reason is because people want to associate with quality. Physicians and nurses and physical therapists and anybody else in the health industry spend years and lots of hours and lots of sweat and lots of money to get themselves to a degree where they have certification in some kind of specialty. Nobody is going to put their credentials on the line and at risk with a company that makes garbage. One of the reasons why this company is so stellar and head and shoulders above everybody else is right here. You're looking at it. It's called the Scientific Advisory Board. Now, Dr. Dan is up here in the upper left-hand corner. He is a paid employee of 3 International. But these other folks, 6, 7, 9 of them. The other 9 are all volunteers. Yes, volunteers. That means they don't get paid and they volunteer their time to spend hours on Zooms and sometimes in personal meetings with Dr. Dan up at headquarters in the Salt Lake City area as the scientific advisory board to basically help him to develop more products and to think about where we're going to take this company next. Now, these people are, look at these credentials, are MDs, PhDs. These are people who are either in their own individual medical practices, internists, ophthalmologists, orthopedists, chiropractors, plastic surgeons, emergency room people, all kinds of people from various specialties in medicine who basically are either in their own practice or in what's called a university practice. And what that means is they're part of a larger university. So, for instance, at University of Southern California, San Francisco, University of California, San Francisco, UCSF. They may be in practice up there, or they may be in practice with UCLA, or they may be in practice with Duke, or they may be in practice at Johns Hopkins. These are very smart people, well published, well thought of in their field, all volunteering. I tell everybody who wants to show me other companies, show me a scientific advisory board like ours. Okay. So here are some more details about Dr. Dan's cellular absorption technology. What he does, Dr. Dan and his researchers, they explore. That's the first thing they do. He loves to go out into the deserts, into the mountains, wherever it's very hot, wherever it's very cold, and he's looking for shrubs and plants and leaves and roots and bark, anything that's phytonutrient and that has molecules in it that might have some medicinal value. Remember again, only 5% of the 600,000 species of plants in this world have been explored. That means that Dr. Dan's got his hands full looking for more and exciting roots and shrubs and all kinds of things that have potential good molecules. So when he finds something that he likes, he brings it back to the lab in Lehi, Utah, near Salt Lake City, and they basically do curation. What that means is he analyzes the heck out of it, he combines it with other things that he thinks may have some medicinal value, and he creates a product that he feels is going to have a health benefit. And then he applies this cellular absorption technology. Now, what does that mean? Well, to make it very simple, he's got 12 different ways that he can have these molecules that he is formulating, that he is curating. He can expose them to 12 different ways that he can get the absorption of those molecules across the cell membrane in the intestine to that much higher 30 to 95% absorption rate versus the industry standard of 10. So this cellular absorption, 12 different ways, one of which I like, it's called liposomes. Liposome means you get the molecules down to such small size that they can easily be transmitted or easily moved across the intestinal membrane in the small intestine and get quick absorption. Dr. Dan's got patents on this. The cellular absorption technology is basically what makes our products so readily absorbed and so stellar. Then the next thing that makes our company shine is this. All of these products that we have are in the PDR. What's the PDR? Well, I was born in 1946, and a year after I was born, 1947, the PDR was born. It stands for Physician's Desk Reference. And what it was originally was a book that, like the Bible, that you would put on your desk in your consultation room. And anytime you wrote a prescription for a patient, you wanted to go to the PDR to check to make sure that the dosage was correct, there were no contraindications, that the no adverse reactions. You wanted to look up something about the molecular weight of whatever you were going to give. It was basically a reference book. Now, why is that important? Here's why it's important. Today, 2025, there are over 100,000 people who die every year in the United States from an adverse reaction to some kind of FDA approved pharmaceutical agent, meaning drug. I'm not talking about death from supplements and minerals and vitamins. I'm talking about 100,000 people die because of an adverse reaction to an FDA approved pharmaceutical drug. That's huge and unfortunate, so unfortunate. So, in order to try to cut that down, we're always looking in this PDR to make sure that we've got it right before we give patients a prescription. Now, back in 1946, when the PDR, sorry, 47, when the PDR started, every pharmaceutical company who got FDA approval for their particular drug or treatment automatically was granted admission into the PDR. Well, over the last 10 or 20 years, supplement and vitamin makers, which are not FDA approved, and we'll go into that in a second, have also tried to get their products accepted into the PDR. And what's happened is most of them do not get accepted. Most of them get denied. When we get off the phone, take a minute and go to pdr.net, pdr.net. And when you open up their website, look at the team and look at the quality of the MDs and the PhDs who are on their staff, who basically have the responsibility for either accepting or rejecting drugs and pharmaceuticals and vitamins and supplements, such as the ones we have, for admission into the PDR. You will be very impressed, as I was very impressed, about the quality of and the science and the experience of these people who basically say yay or nay to any supplement or vitamin company that wants to get its products accepted into the PDR. So, as you may know, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of supplement and vitamin makers all over the world. Every one of them would give their right arm to get their products accepted into the PDR. There's only about 21 that have been accepted. And I'm proud to tell you that we are the only one. 3 International is the only one of those 21 or so that have all seven of our products accepted into the PDR. So again, go to pdr.net, and type in the name of whatever supplement or vitamin or mineral you're on and see if it's accepted. And then type in all 7 of ours, the 6 Wellness Guardians that we take by mouth. And then in addition, the Visage Super Serum, which has now been accepted into the PDR, and you will see that we are the real deal. This fact, the fact that we have all of our products in the PDR, again, sets our products head and shoulders over the pack. When you are talking to anybody in the health field about 3 and these products, and you mention that, oh, by the way, all of our products are accepted in the PDR, their eyes light up. So take a look for yourself. And let me just make one more comment so you don't get confused. Back in the day when I was in the middle of private practice, it was called the PDR, Physician's Desk Reference. Today, 2025, a lot of medical boards have given permission to what are called physician extenders, such as physician's assistants and nurse practitioners, to write prescriptions. So as a result, it's no longer called the Physician's Desk Reference. Now it's called the Prescriber's Digital Reference. But it's the same idea. It's pointing out quality products. And I always love to ask people to put in whatever you're taking in PDR.net and see what happens. I know what's going to happen. 99% of the time, it's not there. And then I say, oh, by the way, go to any of our 3 products and put ours in and see what happens. And don't you know, they all show up. So here's another thing that makes us so special, head and shoulders above everybody else, the clinical studies. So I don't know if you're aware of this, but I've been in practice many, many years, a lot more years than many of you have been born. And I've always been open to proactive wellness, to vitamins, to supplements, to Zen, to meditation, to herbs, to homeopathics, to just about any kind of quote alternative medicine kind of technology you can imagine. Over the years, patients have loved it, and my colleagues have thought I have been a quack. Well, that's okay. I deal with the patients. I serve the patients, not necessarily my colleagues. Today, it's very different, but back in my day, it was an uphill struggle. Well, when people call me up and say, hey, Dr. Green, I heard you're open to looking at all kinds of homeopathic stuff and proactive wellness stuff and vitamins and supplements, the first thing I say is, show me the studies. And 99.9% of the time, there are no studies, including I just got called recently about stem cells. Some company wants to start marketing stem cells because they want to get rich. And I said to the person calling me, show me the studies. And there are no studies. Well, Dr. Dan has studies. And not only that, he's got what's called third-party clinical studies. What does that mean? That means what he's done in his research lab at 3 in Lehi, Utah. He has farmed out to different research groups across the world and basically said to them, please do the same studies as we've done and see if you get the same results. And lo and behold, they have. So right now, we've got 3 third-party clinical studies, and Dr. Dan's about to publish some of this stuff in some well-respected food journals. One's called the cellular absorption study. I mentioned that before. One's called the epigenetic study. I mentioned a little bit about that before, but I'll give you some more detail now. And the third is called superoxide study. So let's look at cellular absorption. Let's look at cellular absorption. On this screen, you're going to see all the way on the left side here is a little nub. That's the 10% mark. That's the industry standard. That's where 99.999% of products that are manufactured anywhere are absorbed. 10% absorption, 90% you poop out or you pee out. Now, look to the right. Look at all of ours. These 6 bars are our 6 wellness guardians or products that you put in your mouth. Remember, we've got 6 products that we put in our mouth, and we've got 4 products, the Visage collection, that we put on our skin. More about that later. So our absorption goes anywhere. Here's Revive. And Revive is at 30%, 3 times the industry standard, all the way up to Eternal, which is 95%, 9.5 times what the standard is. The absorption on this is so exciting. This is all documented by Dr. Dan in studies. You can get this on our website. You can show it to skeptics. You can show it to medical people or anybody who's into the science of it. It will stand the test of time. The next study is the epigenetic study. Now, I mentioned before what Dr. Dan had done with this. Let me give you some more details. There's about 20 to 25,000 genes in our body. 20 to 25,000 genes in our body. Dr. Dan selected 8 of those genes. And what he did was he exposed all 8 of these genes to 4 of our 6 products that we put in our mouth, our wellness guardians. And those were Revive, Vitalite, Eternal, and Collagen. And what he found was mind-blowing. There's a gene that everybody's heard of today. It's called GLP-1. GLP-1. Why have you heard of this, you may be thinking? Well, because of a drug called Ozempic. It's now Wegovy, and there are all kinds of other trade names for semaglutide, which is the generic. And how does this drug work? You inject it, or now you can take it by mouth as well. And what does it do? It stimulates GLP-1, which means it makes your body secrete insulin much more efficiently. It brings down your blood sugar. That's why the FDA gave an approval with semaglutide or GLP-1 agonists, as they're called, to basically lower your blood sugar. But it also helps people lose weight. Well, that's great, but why inject yourself with a chemical drug approved by the FDA if you can take a plant-based, all-natural product like Vitalite or Revive? Those are the two products that Dr. Dan exposed to this GLP-1 gene. And guess what he found? That our products do the same thing. They upregulate or increase the activity of GLP-1 and help people to stabilize their blood sugar and lose a little weight. That's incredible, the fact that we've got an all natural product that will do that. Well, that was only one gene. Then there's another gene that is well known. It's called IL-6. IL-6, interleukin 6. It's the gene that is very often associated with inflammation. Inflammation in our system is a bad thing. So Dr. Dan has shown that, again, the Vitalite and the Revive are two of our products that basically will downregulate or turn down IL-6, reducing inflammation. Then there were other genes that he looked at that had to do with cognition and your ability to think brighter and quicker and be more alert. And he found our products basically stimulate those genes. And, everything you could possibly want in terms of stimulating these genes, either pro or con, has happened. And Dr. Dan has it all documented in the cellular absorption study, which again, you can find on our website. Now, the superoxide study on the right is basically a study that he shows where Revive, which is one of our products, will reduce the amount of superoxide that's produced in your body by some 36%. Superoxide is, if you will, a residual compound that forms through our metabolic processes that causes inflammation. So if we've got Revive that will reduce the activity of superoxide by 36%, that's a home run. These three third-party clinical studies are just the beginning of what Dr. Dan's coming down. Here are the 6 wellness guardians. This is where the meat is in this opportunity because these products are phenomenal. So I want to go through some of these pretty quickly for you and give you some highlights of it, because otherwise we're going to be here all day long. Vitalite is basically the nourisher. I would say of all 6 products, if you're going to take one, you basically want to start with Vitalite. What is it? It comes in a little packet, and over here you can, whoops, hold on. Over here you can see the little packet, and it's basically 4 capsules, and then it's got a little caplet, basically, and what's in it is basically superfoods and superfruits. Think of it as high energy food. What does it do for you? It gives you energy. It stimulates your brain, your eyes, and your heart. It's basically the combination of foods that you want. Things like alfalfa and barley and chlorophyll. Superfruits that you want, 10 different types of berries. Why do you need that? Because those are excellent antioxidants. And we'll talk about antioxidants in a few minutes. In addition, it's got what are called probiotic bacteria, 100 million colonies of what called good bacteria. It's got pancreatic enzymes in it, pancrease, lipase, and protease. It's got omega 3, 6, 7, and 9, which are great in terms of reducing inflammation. And it's also got 72 trace minerals in it. Why do you need trace minerals? Because they stimulate enzymes to work more efficiently. And it's also got loads of amino acids. Why do you need amino acids? Because those are the building blocks of protein. So this little packet taken once a day basically gives you more energy than you're going to know what to do with. And 99% of people, when you say, what's your favorite product? They're going to say Vitalite. Why? Because of the energy. Revive is the next product. That's called the Restorer. Now, that's a very exciting product. That's basically a combination of curcumin or turmeric, but in addition, it's also got boswellia in it and black cumin oil. It's also got some things called grape extract and shiitake mushrooms. It's also got something called sea blackthorn fruit oil. It's got piperine and menthol in it. Now, what did Dr. Dan develop Revive for? It was basically to help your membranes and your tendons and your joints get back into equilibrium. Think of this as something for people who go to the gym. And when they come back from an exhaustive workout, they want to try to get back to homeostasis as fast as possible. So they take some Revive. Think of it as something for people who are what I call weekend warriors. What's that? That's somebody who just goes out on the weekend and does things that they normally don't do, like rearranging furniture or emptying the garage or moving heavy boulders in the field. And by Sunday night, they're hurting and their back hurts and their shoulders hurt and all. And think of Revive for them. So it was intended by Dr. Dan as a plant-based product, one of our six, that basically is going to help people get back to homeostasis, or basically to zero or neutrality after they go and exert themselves. But here's what's happened. And this is why it's so exciting, because there's only about 175, 150, somewhere in there, 1,000 people across the world right now who are using these products. But what we're hearing from these people is mind blowing. We get people who get up at conference and they say, well, I got to give you my personal testimonial. I'm taking this Revive and my gout is so much better. And then other people get up and say, my frozen shoulder is so much better. In fact, Samson Lee, who's one of our top upline people, likes to swing his shoulder round and round and round and round to basically show you how his frozen shoulder is so much better. People who have the Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is an inflammatory condition in their thyroid, have benefit from Revive. People who have fibromyalgia, which is a terrible disease and a debilitating disease where everything hurts, have gotten relief from Revive. On and on. We have not even scratched the surface yet in terms of all the wonderful stories we're going to hear about Revive as more and more people use these products. The next product is called Immune. This is called the Protector. Now, Dr. Dan developed this as a product to increase your immunity. And boy, this was important when we had COVID and other kinds of things, because you want to do anything you can to increase your immunity. You may be aware that most of your immunity comes from bacteria in the gut. 80% of our immune system is in your gut. We have good bacteria and bad bacteria. The good bacteria are called probacteria. Those are the large ones, like lactobacillus. If you go to a store and get some yogurt, it may say on it, this yogurt contains 5 billion cultures of lactobacillus. So Dr. Dan has developed Immune as a product to basically help the gut. And what he's done is he's developed a system called quorum sensing, which basically puts the bad bacteria, the small ones, the E. coli and things like that, basically stops them from talking to each other or from basically communicating, to let the probiotic, the bigger bacteria, have dominance and basically improve your immune system. Besides the quorum sensing he's also got something in it called quercetin and reishi mushrooms. He's also got something in it called nano silver. It's really a beautiful product that basically helps to stimulate our immune system. Oh, we have two types of immune systems. We have something called the innate immune system, which basically means it protects us from viruses and bacteria right now that are in our body. And then we've got a second type of immune system called the adaptive immune system. And that's to protect us from viruses and bacteria to come. So this product, Immune, is wonderful in terms of helping you to make sure your immune system is up to snuff. Now, I tell everybody, use Immune and think of it as a flu shot. I want all of my patients to go get a flu shot. Now, a flu shot will not necessarily prevent the flu, but if you get the flu and you've had a flu shot, you're going to have a much milder case. Be aware that there are 20,000 plus or minus people every year in this country who die from the flu. So flu is not a laughing matter. Well, immune basically helps to increase your immunity and protect you from all kinds of viruses and bacteria. So you really basically want to stay on immune, and don't even think about going off. The next one's called Purify. That's the detoxifier. That's a very exciting product. This is a product that Dr. Dan developed to basically help to cleanse our system. As we breathe, eat, drink, and eat things, we are ingesting and breathing in and all kinds of what are called toxins and pollutants. So you basically, including heavy metals. And now, unfortunately, we are dealing with micro and nano plastics. There's lots of studies that are showing that we're loading up our bodies with plastics, unfortunately, that are all around us. So Purify is basically the detoxifier that basically helps get rid of some of these heavy metals and these pollutants. And it's got in it things like chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is a very powerful purifier. It's also got in it something called humic shale extract, which is loaded with fulvic, Fulvic, fulvic acid, which is one of the strongest agents you can use to basically detoxify. It's also got in it coriander leaf and dandelion root and kelp and apple pectin. It's a beautiful product. It was developed by Dr. Dan to basically help us in terms of detoxification. Now, as I mentioned before, very exciting things happen. People get up at conference and they say, well, guess what? I'm taking Purify. But here's what I've noticed, personal testimonial, my asthma is much better. I'm not getting as frequent attacks. The attacks I get are much less. My irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, with or without constipation, is better when I'm taking Purify. My constipation is better. I'm also noticing weight loss on Purify. All of these are effects of this product that are reported as personal testimonies that Dr. Dan is smiling from ear to ear, but we cannot, as a company, make health claims because that is not permitted by the FDA. But as more and more people use our products, we're going to hear more and more wonderful stories, and I can't wait. Eternal is the next product. This is all about antioxidants. Now, you've all heard of CoQ10, a wonderful antioxidant, but it's minor in strength and in significance compared to what we've got in here. We've got resveratrol. Resveratrol is a wonderful antioxidant that's in red wine. We've also got something called glutathione. That's the master, or you will, the number one antioxidant agent that known. Now, why do we need antioxidants in the first place? Well, because our cells go through all kinds of metabolic processes, and in our body, we accumulate what are called free radicals. Free radicals are basically garbage, if you will, that gets accumulated as our metabolic processes go on. And if you let free radicals accumulate in the system, they can cause cell death and lead to things like congestive heart failure and cancer and autoimmune disease, all kinds of bad stuff. So you do not want to have a lot of free radicals, and you want to try to prevent cell death. And this antioxidant formulation in Eternal basically helps to decrease free radicals. And when you prevent cell death, you basically are preventing accelerated aging, because that's what accelerated aging is. It's cell death. And if Eternal will get rid of free radicals and prevent cell death, it's a home run. Well, that's what Dr. Dan developed it for, but here's what's happening. People get up at conference and say, let me tell you about my personal testimony. Well, here's my experience. GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease, or hiatal hernia, or esophagitis, or as the Italians call it, agita. I'm taking Eternal, and now my GERD is gone. Plus, I've got in tremendous energy since I'm taking Eternal. Plus, I am sleeping like a baby since I started Eternal. And now, one of the most exciting things, postmenopausal women are getting up and saying, wow, this Eternal has really gotten rid of my hot flashes, my irritability, my sleep disturbance, my crankiness, all the kinds of things that women come to me for to get estrogens and progesterone and anti-inflammatories and pain medications and the pills to help them sleep. Now we can get them all off that kind of stuff because Eternal helps women who have postmenopausal symptoms. Look, it's a wonderful product, and more excitement is going to happen with it. And then we've got collagen as the last of the six wellness guardians. And collagen is basically a formulation of what are called type 1 and type 3 collagens. And it comes from fish that swim in the deep sea up in the Norwegian waters. And Dr. Dan has been able to source this collagen from those deep swimming fish, and basically he micronizes it and then he does his cellular absorption technology on it, and basically it is absorbed tremendously into the skin. It helps with hair, nails, and skin. Not only does it have, of course, wonderful collagen, 5 grams, which is a large dose of really pure type 1 and type 3 collagen, but it's also got in it what's called hyaluronic acid. What's that? Hyaluronic acid. Well, hyaluronic acid is what physicians inject into joints that are osteoarthritic. It's also called Synvisc. So maybe some of you have had Synvisc injections into your knees. That's hyaluronic acid. We've got it. Dr. Dan put it, the hyaluronic acid, in our collagen. So when you ingest it, you basically are getting the effects of that too. With this system, excuse me, with this system, you basically take this collagen. It comes in little packages that you can see right here. Okay, you basically drink one a day for 10 days, and then you're off for 20 days. So it's on for 10, off for 20, on for 10, off for 20, almost like birth control pills. Now, why do that? Because Dr. Dan realizes that as we get older, our own collagen cells basically go to sleep. Usually by the age of 30, the amount of activity of our own collagen cells is markedly diminished. So basically, what he wants to do with collagen is have us stimulate our own collagen cells to wake up and to start to manufacture collagen themselves. If he gave you the collagen every single day, yes, your collagen level in your blood would go up, but he would basically continue to suppress your own collagen making cells. So basically, this system he's got, 10 days on, 20 days off, is brilliant in terms of just sort of tickling or stimulating your collagen making cells to see if he can wake them up and start producing collagen on their own. So people get results. Now, what happens is it was supposed to help you with your hair, your skin, and your nails. At least that's what Dr. Dan told us all when he developed it. But what people do is they get up at conference and they say, yeah, my hair, skin, and nails looks great, but let me tell you, my back pain is so much better. My knee pain is so much better. My rheumatoid arthritis, my osteoarthritis, any kind of musculoskeletal problem that you got is so much better on the collagen. So that's another, if you will, quote, fringe benefit, if you will, of this product collagen. So these are the 6 that you put in your mouth. They're called the Wellness Guardians. And then this is the newest in the collection, and this is one of the most exciting. This is called Visage. And as you can see up here, it's a neurocosmetic. Now, what does that mean? That means that you put it on your face. And what it does is it gets absorbed into your skin, and then it goes down under your skin. It stimulates the nerves in your face and on your neck. And those nerves trigger things in your brain to happen. And one of those things that happens is your brain releases what are called neurotransmitters. What's a neurotransmitter, you ask? Well, we all have a gland called the thyroid gland. It sits in our neck, and the thyroid gland makes thyroid hormone. But unfortunately, it doesn't work unless there's a substance from the brain called the neurotransmitter called thyroid stimulating hormone that is first released. So that's the neurotransmitter for thyroid, thyroid stimulating hormone. Well, when you put Visage on your face, you're basically triggering your brain to release three neurotransmitters. The first is called serotonin. You may have heard of serotonin because that's the substance that you need in your system, or you're going to be depressed. People who don't have enough serotonin basically come to physicians and want drugs that will basically increase the amount of serotonin in their system so they are not depressed. The second neurotransmitter that Visage releases through its action on the brain is called dopamine. You may have heard of dopamine. Dopamine is the substance that's made by our brain that we need in order to move with fluidity and gentleness and be just glide along and move normally. People who don't have enough dopamine made in their brain, they have a disease called Parkinson's. You may have heard or seen people who have Parkinson's disease. Michael J. Fox, the famous actor, is the poster child for Parkinson's disease. He basically moves very hesitantly, jerking motions all the time, totally uncontrolled. Unfortunately, his Parkinson's is severely advanced. Well, when you take Visage and you put it on your face, you are stimulating your brain through this neurocosmetic to ability to basically release this neurotransmitter called dopamine. The more dopamine we release from our brain, the better. Why? Because it's going to increase our ability to think, our ability to move, our motivation. Now, Dr. Dan has clinical studies down here that basically where he has shown before and after the amounts of dopamine and serotonin before using Visage and after applying Visage. And he can show in studies that the amount in your bloodstream goes up. The third neurotransmitter that's released is also important, and that's called DHEA, dihydroepiandrosterone. We need that secreted by our brain for our mood and mentation and our focus. So, what I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, is this is the world's first neurocosmetic. It's all natural, it's all plant based, and it basically has these incredible ability to basically stimulate your brain to release these neurotransmitters. Plus, in addition, it makes you look better. What it does for your skin is that, and wherever you put it on your body is absolutely amazing. It's got four components to it. The first is basically called cleanse. It's a white cream. You put it on your face and you leave it on there for anywhere between 10 minutes and 2 hours. Some people use it as a mask. And what it does is it clears up your skin, it cleans your skin, but it's not alcohol based. So it doesn't get rid of moisture and it keeps your skin plump and looking great. Then the next thing you do is you spray some of this toner on your skin, and that evaporates within just a few minutes. And what that does is it sets up your pores for basically the heavy hitter, which is called the serum of super serum, the Visage super serum. This is a combination of four plants, and when you put this on your face, this is really the stuff that gets that neurotransmitters released, that gets that neurocosmetic effect really going. And then the fourth component to this is a home run as well. This is called Visage Moisturizer or Creme Caviar. Why is it called creme caviar? Because it comes from a plant found in Japan whose seeds or the plant is the caviar plant. But the beautiful thing about this moisturizer is you put it on your skin and within 5 minutes, you can feel the difference. So let me tell you what I do. I walk around with a bottle of this creme caviar in my pocket. And whenever I see man or woman, I get into a conversation and I say, Here, I've got a present. Stick out your hand and give me the back of your hand. And I put a little dab on it and I rub it into the back of their hand on one hand. And I say, Let that dry for about 5 minutes. And then I want you to take your fingers on your other hand, rub the top of the hand where I put the creme caviar, rub the other hand on the top where there's no creme caviar. You make the decision. And very often people do that. And the next thing is, where can I get some of this? It's wonderful. It's a wonderful marketing tool, but more importantly, it just reaffirms that basically the products work. So basically, those are the products. And that's what drives this amazing business. And I'm going to be real short here because I told Samson 45 minutes and I'm well over that now. But what we're looking for is we're looking for the first group of people who basically want to go out and scream and shout and yell and promote and share these products. We are excited. If you haven't seen that, I don't know what you've been thinking or looking at. The reason why we're so excited is because of what these products do. Again, if this was garbage, you wouldn't have 2 to 3 thousand physicians and other health professionals involved in it. You wouldn't have all this support from PDR, from Scientific Advisory Board, from the clinical studies, on and on and on. It gets better and better. So you sign up, you basically join us to basically spread the word. Again, I want to stress to everybody on this call, we are not selling these products. We are marketing these products. We are shouting to the rooftops about these wonderful products. Why? Because we're all products of the product. We use them. We love them. We keep ordering them. In fact, if you do not have a positive experience with these products, don't join the business because people can see through you in a heartbeat. We're all very excited because of the products, and we tell people who are skeptical and are reluctant, try the products, see what they do for 3 weeks to 4 weeks, and then you make up your mind. So if you decide to join us, here it is. It's all business in a box. You get your own website, it's e-commerce ready. You get a back office that manages and tracks your business, marketing and media tools, training systems, support, calls like this every single week, almost every single day. The number of calls is always a lot of support for everyone involved. And again, we're not selling products. We basically are telling people about these products. Go look at my marketing site. And then if you decide you want to buy some of these, you buy it off my marketing site using your own credit card. I've got nothing to do with it. And basically, as they're buying it from my site, I'm getting paid commissions on those sales. So in this business, it's financial rewards on steroids, if you will. Multiple ways to generate income. The hour is late. I'm not going to go through all of this in tremendous detail, but I just want to stress to you that there's lots of different things going on. So, for instance, you tell somebody about some of these products, they go buy some of their products from your marketing site, and boom, you get paid the next day 25% commission. You didn't do anything, you didn't sell it, you didn't ship it, you didn't collect money. You just said, go look at here's my QR code, go look at my site, order whatever you want. The next thing is introductory bonuses. As if you're going to join us in this business, you're going to want to tell everybody in the world about these products. And as people learn about these products, they're going to buy what are called packages of these products. Some are going to buy bigger packages. Some are going to buy smaller packages. It's whatever they want to do. But as they buy these packages, if you're the one that basically told them about it, you get paid by the company introductory bonuses anywhere up to $350 each time somebody buys one of these packages. The next way you get paid is what are called commission overrides. This is very simple. Basically, just imagine that you are a realtor and you are selling homes. You are, as you sell more and more homes and you have more and more listings in your inventory, you're going to get more and more commission. Well, it's the same idea here. You're building a structure that's called a tree. There's basically two legs to it, one to the left, one to the right, and you're basically just building two sets of businesses, one on your left, one on your right. And as more and more people use these products, the volume goes up and you get paid commission overrides on all of that. Then there's referral matching bonuses. This is the most lucrative part of the compensation plan. So let's go back to our real estate analogy. Except now, instead of you being the real estate agent, you are the broker and you own the agency. So not only do you make money on sales that you sell, those are your commission overrides, but if some of your agents make sales, you get a piece of, or a matching bonus, a piece of whatever they produce. So this gets very, very lucrative and can be a major part of your compensation package. Let me go back to summarize it this way. Kim Wee, that little wonderful lady who is our number one distributor, who the only woman in the world who has made 100 to 150 million dollars in network marketing over the last 30 or 40 years. The last company she was in, she made $1 million a month. $1 million a month. 100,000 of it was commission overrides every month, but 900,000 of it every month were referral matching bonuses. This is where the real meat in this compensation plan is, and it's available to each and every one of us from day one. You know, when we talked to Christine Peterson, who was the number one national representative at Mary Kay, and we said to her, by the way, she made $20 million in Mary Kay over the 20 years in the business. And I'm not telling tales out of school, because if you ever hear her, that's the first thing she'll tell you about her wonderful experience. And when we said to her, Christine, what about our compensation plan is so special versus Mary Kay and the rest of the industry out there? She said, right here. This referral matching bonus is huge. It goes down what are called 7 levels, and it's unlimited in terms of the number of referring matching bonuses you can get. So trust me, folks, talk to the person who introduced you to this and invited you to come on this call and get a clear understanding of this referral matching bonus, because that's where the real meat is. The global bonus pool is exciting too, because basically what the company does is it takes a percentage of the weekly sales all over the world. That's why it's called global, and it divides it up among people who are basically doing the business. And again, this is available to any brand ambassador or distributor from day one. You don't have, that's one of the wonderful things about this compensation plan. It's wide open for anybody who wants to access it and utilize it. So that's exciting. In addition to that, Dan Picot, the president, likes to spend money to show love and show gratitude, and he rewards distributors with all kinds of wonderful trips. We've got one coming up to Vietnam and Cabo. In addition, we've got one coming up to France and Monaco. It's called the six-star retreat, and anybody who's in this business is eligible to compete to get there. So at this point, you got two options, basically. You can be a retail customer and buy these products from the website of whoever showed you this business. Go to their QR code, buy some products. You'll pay retail. Every time you do that, whoever introduced you to it gets a 25% commission the next morning based on whatever you bought. But who wants to pay retail when you can pay wholesale? So what I tell everybody is, even if you're just going to be a customer, that's wonderful. We love customers. Don't be a retail customer. Be a wholesale customer. What does that mean? Sign up for $30 a year, and then you can have the privilege or the option to buy at wholesale. Just imagine it's your own Costco. You go to Costco, except instead of spending $65 or $128 for membership, you spend $30, and then you can buy whatever you want, whenever you want, as a customer at Costco. Except here, there's no Costco, there's no three international store. Everything's done online. So you can do this in your underwear in the middle of the night and have a wonderful experience with it. Or you can do what a lot of us do and become a business builder. That's what we're called, those of us who want to basically go out and spread the word. So you enroll as this brand ambassador for $30, and then you choose a package of products to start the process. Now, this goes anywhere from a high end, which is the Pro Collection, to a low end, which is the Intro Pack. It all depends on a number of things. Number one, if you know for sure you're going to do this business, then think seriously about coming in at the Pro Collection or Business Builders level. Why? Because it's greater value. Yes, it's more expensive, but it's much better value. I'll show you that in a second. If you're not sure and you just want to dabble and get your feet wet with all the products, get the premium pack, which because it's one of everything except for the Eternal, but it's one of everything else. It'll last you a month and you'll be able to get some feeling about what these products will do for you. Now, if you decide to come in at a premium pack and then later on you love these products within 30 days and you tell the person who invited you to look at this, hey, I want to be a business builder or a Pro Collection, you can always upgrade and pay the difference. But you don't have to. That's only if you want to. Or if you want to come in at a lower level, come in as an intro pack. Or if you want to just use the Visage skincare product, you can do that as well. With the intro pack, you basically get one of everything. There are of the supplements, there are 6 Wellness Guardians. You get one of each, and you basically try it out for a month. If you don't want to use the supplements, instead you just want to get introduced to this using the skincare, the Visage, order the Visage, and here it's one of all 4 of them. But whatever you do, just get going, because the most important thing is you want to introduce this to people before you have an experience like I had 4 days ago on Thursday night when I was at a big gala benefit in LA, and I walked up to this lady and I said, "Here, give me your hand." She puts her hand out and I said, "I want to see the top of your hand." And I start to apply creme caviar to her hand. And as I'm starting, she says to me, "Oh, that's creme caviar. I'm already in this deal." My heart sank. I tell you, folks, this is growing so quickly that it will not be very long before you start talking to people and they will have already heard about this opportunity. The most important thing is to get started and get started as soon as you're comfortable. I was going to basically spend some time tonight. I've done a lot of studies on medical journals and articles that have come out in terms of our products. But time has gotten away from me. So let me just tell you how cutting edge this is. Okay, so I subscribe to something called the New England Journal of Medicine. It's probably one of the world's most premier and well thought of medical journals. And they have this thing called Journal Watch, which I get every week. So in the issue that was dated June 1st, mind you, this is only May 26th. I've already got June 1st out here. They had an article basically from the New England Journal of Medicine about GLP-1 receptor agonists for metabolic dysfunction associated steatohepatitis. What does that mean? It means fatty liver. How many of you have heard of or know about fatty liver when you go to your own doctor and he or she says to you, your liver is large or your liver enzymes are high, and then the next thing after you have an ultrasound, they come back and they tell you you've got fatty liver, which means your liver is infiltrated with fat. It's also called MASH, which the scientific name is metabolic dysfunction associated steatohepatitis. It's fatty liver. Well, catch this. What this study is now showing is that GLP receptor agonists, semaglutide types of products, basically are reducing the amount of fat in fatty livers. So listen to this comment from the reviewer. This study ultimately will include 1,200 patients who will be followed for the next 5 years to examine a clinical and not simply histological endpoint, cirrhosis free survival. What this is saying is that perhaps GLP-1 agonists like Ozempic and semaglutide and maybe Vitality and maybe our products, Revive, will basically, which stimulate GLP-1, that's when we talk about upregulation of the GLP-1 gene, will have an effect on fatty liver. Now, the reason I bring this up is we are at the cutting edge. Here's another article about these same GLP receptor agonists improving walking function in patients who have peripheral vascular disease or peripheral artery disease. Perhaps some of you have family members who have been smokers and have high cholesterol, and when they walk, they have to stop every few feet because they have excruciating pain in their calves. And the reason is because they're not getting enough oxygen down through those obstructed arteries into the muscles in their legs. That's called intermittent claudication. It's a huge problem. Well, here's a study from none other than, where's it from? The New England Journal of Medicine that basically is talking about semaglutide and GLP-1 agonists. Again, think about Vitality and Revive that may make a difference in terms of improving the function of people who have peripheral artery disease. Listen to this last line in the study. The relatively small difference in weight loss in this trial suggests a direct vascular benefit. In other words, what the researchers have found is that people who are exposed to semaglutide or GLP-1 agonists have improvement in their peripheral artery disease. Now, I want to see if Dr. Dan can at some point do a study that will show whether Vitality and Revive will help people who have peripheral artery disease. Here's another one that came from, this is from Alzheimer's Dementia and the Natural Neurosciences Journal and the Natural Medicine Journal. Here's an article that says more evidence that viral infections can trigger dementia. Viral infections can trigger dementia. And it talks in this article about herpes virus and SARS-CoV virus. That's the COVID virus. And basically that the zoster virus, the herpes simplex virus, and now the COVID virus all have a risk factor for developing Alzheimer's disease. Why is this important? Well, that's why we're taking this preparation called Immune, because we want to do everything we can to decrease our exposure, our being influenced. And it's not decreasing our exposure. We're going to get exposed to it whether or not you take Immune. But the important thing is what it's going to do to protect you. If we find that being on Immune protects you in the long run from Alzheimer's disease, that's going to be a home run. And scientists are already talking about and documenting that people who are exposed to herpes virus, simplex and herpes zoster, and also COVID-2 have an increased chance of developing dementia. Now, these three articles are just from this week's Journal Watch. And every week I get something like this, and I'm telling you, there's more and more evidence that the products that 3 has are so cutting edge and so potentially powerful that pretty soon I think we're going to be seeing more and more benefit for our products in areas where we can ask Dr. Dan to do his magic and show the world that these products are truly effective.